Hi, I'm here for the third part of my favorite anime characters list. I have 15 characters left. In 15th place is Marnie from When Marnie Was There. Uh, Marnie is a very tragic character who really pulled on my heartstrings, and When Marnie Was There is a film that I have a very strong emotional connection to. In 14th place is Jiro Horikoshi from The Wind Rises, a really interesting protagonist. Lots of emotional stuff involving his character and stuff that is very memorable and impactful. In 13th place is Kagami from Ceres Celestial Legend. Kagami, I think, is the most interesting character in Ceres Celestial Legend. A great example of a tragic villain. A character that's doing bad things and needs to stop doing those bad things, but isn't the type of villain that's like, I'm just doing evil stuff because I want money and power. Kagami is a character that went through some very emotional things, and he's trying to do good things, but he's not going about it well, and he's a really interesting character. In 12th place is Prince Schneisel from Code Geass. Similarly to Kagami, he's a character that's trying to do some good things, but he's certainly not going about it very well. He's a brilliant, fascinating, exciting villain that adds so much to Code Geass. In 11th place is Mayon from Tamaraya. Although Fu is the protagonist of Tamaraya, Mayon is the character that I got the strongest emotional attachment to. She's had some of the sweetest moments, and a lot of her shyness is very enduring, and watching her learn to grow and be more expressive about how she feels is very powerful because she was often very subtle and really hid a lot of her feelings, and seeing her overcome a lot of challenges is really powerful and meaningful. In 10th place is Princess Kaguya from The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, not the Princess Kaguya from Code Geass, who I actually think is really annoying. I don't uh, uh, want to talk too much about that Kaguya, but the Princess Kaguya from The Tale of the Princess Kaguya is an amazing protagonist, a character that went through so many emotional things, and a character that has so much personality, and a character where it's hard to not want things to go so well for her. Number 9, who is Princess Cornelia from Code Geass. Cornelia is such a cool villain. I love her so much. One of the coolest villains out there, uh, and a villain that is times likable, and that's very interesting, where she can be even more likable than some of the heroes in certain places. And I am just absolutely obsessed with the character of Cornelia, and I would have loved to put Cornelia even higher, but if I did have to come up with a little bit of a nitpick for Cornelia, I feel like her role in season 2 could have been bigger and a little bit more interesting, so that holds her back just a little bit. But even with that holding her back, she still made the top 10 because she's that great of a character. In 8th place is Detard, also from Code Geass. Detard is a very entertaining character. He's hilarious. One of my favorite supporting characters. He adds so much. He's a character that I can rely on to be really good and interesting throughout. I love him so much. Such a great character. And my love for Code Geass continues because my number 7 is C2 from Code Geass. I love C2. C2 is one of the coolest characters out there. Uh, her amazing sassiness, her amazing interactions with Lelouch, how she could be such a tragic character, such a cool character. In 6th place is Lelouch Lamperouge from Code Geass. He is captivating, he is sympathetic. There's so many great attributes and Lelouch that make him one of the best characters out there, one of the most interesting protagonists out there. Lelouch just leads Code Geass so wonderfully, such a great character. Number 5 is Emperor Charles from Code Geass. You could be noticing a bit of a pattern. I really love Code Geass. Emperor Charles, one of the most interesting villains that I've seen. A villain that plays the role of a very despicable character that's very easy to root against very well. Although, even as despicable as he does have worldviews and opinions that are very interesting, where I understand what he's trying to communicate sometimes, and there's some parts to him that are somewhat understandable, but he's definitely a character to root against. But I love that he's able to have all this nuance to him and not just be a villain that feels pure evil while still also being an incredibly entertaining villain that is a lot of fun whenever he speaks. And a villain that can feel over the top but still have a lot of dramatic nuance to him. So Charles is one of my favorite villains out there. My number 4 is Naoko Satomi from The Wind Rises. One of the most precious characters out there who has pulled on my heartstrings so incredibly hard. A character that feels impossible to not care about and absolutely adore the sweetness of her loving heart. Naoko, one of the most lovable characters out there. Such a tragic character, such an enduring character. Love her very much. In third place, Professor Lloyd Asplund from Code Geass. Lloyd is so deliciously and delightfully sassy. The sound of his voice is just absolutely delightful. It's hard for me not to smile and have an absolutely great time whenever Lloyd's around. One of the most entertaining characters that isn't a villain. A lot of the most entertaining characters out there tend to be villains, but Lloyd is able to be a really entertaining character without even having to be a villain. He's just so much fun, such an compelling, lovely character, absolute delight of a character. Just love it when Lloyd shows up, and just even thinking about Lloyd, amazing. In second place is Giovanni from Pokemon. Uh, that could seem really high, and I do think that it could seem like a very confusing placement because of Giovanni doesn't appear in Pokemon that often. But for me, Giovanni is one of the best examples of a really exciting, cool antagonist leader, where Giovanni is also a really great example of a character that can really leave a memorable impact without that much screen time. Because Giovanni gets so much stuff done. He's why Jesse, James, and Meow do what they do. So even episodes where he's not even around, he's still important because he serves as a motivation for Jesse, James, and Meow. And Giovanni really helps Pokemon, where Jesse, James, and Meow are very funny, but they don't really have that compelling threat level that Giovanni has. So Giovanni brings some much needed excitement and intimidation to Pokemon, and he has such a great presence. I love how mysterious he is, even though I so badly wish he had more screen time. I love how not that much is known about a lot of important things about a character that's been in the Pokemon anime for so many years. He's such a great villain. One of my favorite villains. I love Giovanni so much. And in first place, my favorite anime character, Shirley Fanetti. Shirley isn't the most important character in Code Geass. That she doesn't elevate the plot as much as other characters, but she is the single most adorable, delightful Code Geass character, and one of the most adorably delightful characters in general. It's hard for me not to feel happiness in my heart and just feel emotionally uplifted thinking about Shirley, simply looking at a picture of Shirley. Shirley is my favorite because of my emotions. If I think about logically, does she impact the plot as much as other characters? No. Are there other characters that have more interesting storylines? Yes. But thinking about things on a very emotional level, Shirley is the most precious character in Code Geass, and in my personal opinion, the most precious character from any anime, and the character that brings the most happiness to my heart. So she's my favorite, and you can let me know what you think of my list.